Boris clients are just falling like dominoes ever since Bellinger signed. So let's get into a little bit of Chappie, a little bit of Matty. And where do you end up going? Welcome everybody to the Touching Bases podcast. A little bit of an emergency podcast that I wasn't exactly planning on doing tonight, but you know what? When this stuff happens and these things get signed, they get signed. Matt Chapman has signed with the Giants for a 3-year, $54 million contract. Now, this seems very similar to the Bellinger thing, and I'm just saying, for the amount of money that they're signing these players with the original asking price that they're giving, it's kind of nice to see the Boris plan fall apart to where he has to give in just to get his players signed because we're so deep into spring training already. The Matt Chapman turned 31 and he won his 4th Gold Glove last year with Toronto, and he is now going to be playing for San Francisco and ever at their third base. Now, I had a previous video that talks about the Giants and how they're putting their team together, whether it came to signing Jordan Hicks or if it came to signing Soler. I figured that was going to be the end of building their lineup, at least for the remainder of the season, at least this offseason. But, well, there it goes. They didn't touch a single person when it came to their starting rotation, which I think they probably should have, and they went out and spent some money on a third baseman. Now, Chapman last year for Toronto kind of fell off the map. He was obviously very good defensively, but his bat got really cold after the month of May, and he didn't really have anything to show for it following that. But in the beginning of the season, he was hot, he was hitting well, and I think, and I'm going to guess that the Giants are hoping they can bring that back with their hitting coach staff. In the month of April, he hit a .384 batting average, which was really hot and was going to basically project him to be one of the best third baseman hitters in the 2023 season. Of course, as soon as May hit, the slashes fell to a 205, 298, and a 361 slash, which was rough. He was having trouble just hitting fastballs, let alone the curveball and slider, and it just was not looking good. Now, whether or not that means his peak has finally been reached and he's going to be only a disappointment moving forward, especially with a 3-year contract, or if it was just a fluke and he needed a change of scenery and we maybe found it during the offseason. Who knows what he's been working on? I haven't been paying too much close attention to his offseason workouts and all the things he's been doing, especially since he didn't even have a home to start practicing with. Now, just like Bellinger, it seems like Boris is basically maintaining the same deal for Matt Chapman as Cody Bellinger, with the first 2 years having opt-outs as well. So if things don't work out, the team and Matt Chapman have an opportunity to get out of their contract and go somewhere else. There's a lot less risk when it comes to these players, as they both had a pretty shoddy track record, but were still considered some of the best and most elite players that are in the free agency. I mean, I wasn't expecting Chappie to go over to the Giants, but I'm not too surprised since the Giants are really pushing with their budget and trying to be contenders against the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers were definitely the first forefront in getting the most expensive players, but as far as adding more players with a equal or similar to equal salary and building a team that can be a serious weapon for the NL West, they're doing a pretty damn good job. Taking a look at the lineup, at least from Fangraphs, the leadoff batter are going to be Young-Ho Lee, who they picked up from the international signings and is very sought after to be seen, as he's going to be starting in center field from what it's going to be projected. And then you have Estrada going to be batting second, Wade Jr. in third, another really good bat. Jorge Soler presumptively going to be the permanent DH and going to be batting number 4, which makes sense, especially with how well he hit for the Marlins last year. And then you have Michael Conforto, which would be a good backup in case Soler does not do the greatest. Now, keep in mind, Soler did have a lot of strikeouts last year as well. So if you get 2 men on and you don't worried about leaving them stranded, Michael Conforto has a pretty good opportunity of getting them knocked in. And then following that, they're assuming that Matt Chapman will probably be starting at third base, of course, because of that Gold Glove, and he'll be batting 6th. After that would be Yastrzemski and Bailey, and then Luciano going to be in the very, very back of that order, which I'm looking forward to seeing Luciano come back from the season last year. He didn't do too great. I mean, he's projected to have a 216 batting average this coming season, but he's got potential. He just didn't fully work through it like he should have last year. Now, getting back to what I was mentioning in the first video when it came to the Giants, they really should have started paying attention to their starting pitching. They've kind of ignored starting pitching altogether for the last couple seasons. And unfortunately, what they're looking at is having Logan Webb as being their ace, which is perfectly fine. I don't think anything wrong with that. Kyle Harrison, okay, I guess. I mean, they're projecting him at a 4.15 ERA. That's not good, but it's not horrible, I guess. But for a number 2, very questionable. And then you have Jordan Hicks, who isn't used to being a starting pitcher following the last season, and bringing him back to be a starting pitcher. He's projected to throw a 3.91 ERA, but having him as a slot as a number 3 in the rotation is a little bit questionable to me. But granted, they have not decided to go after someone to fill the holes that they're going to have for the first half of the season. You have Robbie Ray, that's going to be a potential to come back in the middle of the season, who they acquired from Seattle for Mitch Haniger. In the meantime, when you're stuck with Keaton Wynn and Sean, I believe it's Shell. I honestly don't know this guy very well. Healy, or however his name is, but he's a 5 spot. He's projected to do a 4.5 ERA. He's only projected to start in 6 games, so he's probably gonna get rotated out with somebody else, but that is the Fangraphs predicted starting rotation. So either the Giants are done, or they're gonna find another pitcher. I'm pretty surprised that they went with Matt Chapman for third baseman, considering they did have Wilmer Flores, who can play third, who can play first, and play catcher. And then they also have JD Davis, who I thought was very competent with playing third base as well. But you know what? They went out and they got Matt Chapman, and this is a big signing for them. I mean, once again, like, the Dodgers definitely have a contender in the NL West, and they have someone that they need to keep in mind, and they have a team that they're going to be fighting for first place over. I mean, the more this progresses, I personally think that the Dodgers have much less likely chance of winning the World Series, or even going to the World Series at this point. And I mean, I still think they overspent during the offseason. It's pretty insane. But looking at some of the teams that now have come together and been built since the end of last season, there's some serious powerhouses out there. It's just whether or not they're going to stay healthy and whether or not they're going to stay in it. Now, keep in mind, Matt Chapman, if you guys saw my video, he has back issues. He's had other injuries that are very concerning, that have kind of restricted him in the past. So hopefully those things don't get re-aggravated, and hopefully he hasn't had any issues during this offseason. Of course, he's not going to be announcing any of that stuff while he's trying to get signed and get a contract, but now that he has, I guess we're going to find out. What do you guys think? Is the Giants turning into the new in the same offseason Dodgers, or are they just fighting their hardest to be contenders, even though their pitching staff is rough right now? I don't know. Leave a comment below, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.